Good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock on Thursday, July 16th, and we're going to begin our regularly scheduled meeting of the study session. I'd like to go ahead and get a roll call, please.
Director Meyerhoffen.
Here.
Director Martin.
Here.
Director Sewell.
Here.
Vice President Griffith.
Present.
And President Duff.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. Since we're all here, we're going to skip number 3 and we'll be doing number 4 on Monday. Counselor, could we get rules of procedure, please?
Yes, we can. All notice meetings are conducted pursuant to Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during the meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak has had an opportunity to be heard. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, and at this point of the meeting, it is time for public input. It's the opportunity for members of our public to address the board on matters within our jurisdiction. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on anything not listed on the agenda, and this is the time for members of the public to discuss things not on our agenda. Do we have anyone online?
Not online, President Duff.
And I do not see anyone present. Okay, perfect. So we will move on to our presentations. I understand we have a presentation on the Desert Hot Springs High School Real Academy internship program. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I will ask our Assistant General Manager, Marion Champion, to cover this item. Marion.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, members of the board. I'm very happy to introduce April Scott, our Programs and Public Affairs Specialist, who has taken on the day-to-day management of this program. As you guys are aware, we had Real Academy students that came in June, and they've been working with us in their internship program. And April has a very special presentation today for you on the students. April?
Welcome, Ms. Scott. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, General Manager, Assistant General Manager Champion, and good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. First, I would like to introduce Christopher Marino, who interned. Christopher, you want to stand? You stand right. Christopher interned with water production and field service, so he had a hybrid internship program. He joined the Real Academy in 2023. He found that it was very hands-on, and he was really excited about that. He loves it. It's given him something more than the average high school experience. What he enjoys most is the different learning opportunities and teamwork that is involved, which really helped him here as well. He did great with our team. After graduation, he plans to start trade school and start working. He has enjoyed his time at MSWD due to experiencing new things and the people, which is my favorite thing too. Next, we have Isil Flores, who interned with wastewater. Isil joined Real Academy in his sophomore year because he wanted to learn things towards a future career, gaining experience in the solar and electric field and now water, such as how to use new tools and problem solving. After high school, he plans to go to trade school to be a solar technician or electrician so he can join a good company where he can travel around the world. What he enjoyed most about his internship at MSWD is the energy every day with the wastewater team. They made every day entertaining and fun, but also taught him a lot about the water and wastewater industry.
Thank you.
That's all it's like. Next, we have Michael Torres. Michael interned with the Information Technology IT department. He joined the Academy in 2024 because the solar boat competition caught his attention, as well as the cool shirts, which he's modeling for us today. He has gained energy side experience and knowledge and loves the collaboration with other classmates. After graduation, he plans to attend university to study nuclear engineering. Wow. What he has enjoyed about his MSWD internship was learning about the software behind the scenes and helping designing the new SCADA system. And next we have Guadalupe Ramirez. Guadalupe interned with the Public Affairs Department. She started with Real Academy her freshman year, and after meeting them during a recruitment event, what she has gained is friends and a different type of experience compared to her peers. She enjoys the projects they work on, and her favorite being the solar boat. After graduation, she plans to go to College of the Desert or go into a trade school. She enjoyed interning at MSWD because she was able to work with professionals and her classmates. And the slideshow you're seeing before you, Guadalupe prepared for us. Guadalupe would like to share a few words on behalf of the Real Academy.
Welcome.
Hello, we just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. This is like really different. Like, sorry, this is different compared to how every other student in our high school experiences. So this is a really good opportunity for us, especially since this is something different and something we can use to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. Do anyone on the board have anything they'd like to say to these fine young people?
No, I've been very impressed with the Real Academy and the members that have joined our workforce and everything. And I wish you all the best in the future. And I hope to see you working with us for a lot longer than the Real Academy.
Vice President?
Just, I think this is a great opportunity to kind of see some of the things that are out there. We have some people who come through the internships and maybe they say, you know what, this isn't for me. But at least they got the opportunity to find that out. Back when I went to school, we didn't have these kind of programs. So sometimes you would do stuff after you left, and then after a couple of years, you realize you didn't want it. So it's a really great opportunity. Take what you've learned here and use it for your future.
Thank you. Director Marhoffen?
I'm just really pleased that Mission Springs Water District does this type of thing for our youth, and it's hard to kind of get ahead nowadays. And I have a philosophy, I've had it for years and I still use it today, even at my age. If you don't learn something new every day, you've wasted the day. So keep learning no matter how old you get.
Director Sewell?
I'm a little jealous. A long time ago when I went to DHS-HS, they didn't have the Real Academy. So hopefully this just opens your eyes to different career possibilities. You think about water and it seems really specific, but there's a lot of different careers in our industry. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm just really proud of every single one of you and everything that you contribute, not just here, but that you're going to contribute in the future, because I believe that this is just your stepping off point. And we look forward to seeing what you will all be doing and bring back to our community in the future. And I believe we are going to take a photograph, Ms. Scott. All right. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, April. I'll be up with my camera before long.
All right. Thank you again, Real Academy and DHS High School. Thank you. All right. And we're going to move on in our agenda today. We have number 8, Human Resources Report, which I understand will be presenting on Monday.
Yes, that'll be Monday.
Thank you very much. So that moves us to our action items. Number 9, adopt resolution 2026-15, authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed 28 million revenue certificates of participation and approving related actions. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. This item and the next item are goals and objectives MSWD have been working on for years, and in some instances, as it relates to, like, let's say, the administrative building, for decades. For those who are seeing this item for the first time, MSWD did not get to this recommendation overnight or in a vacuum or even without community input. To get to this $28.5 million bond issuance for new booster stations and the corporate yard / main campus improvements, staff and MSWD board had completed a water and wastewater master plans, financial master plans, rate study, which included key input from our community advisory group, the CLEAR Committee. All of these aforementioned plans and studies led us to where we are today. And I just wanted to make sure those who've seen this for the first time understood the effort that went into this. With that being said, our accounting manager, Skylar Albury, will be here today to provide a summary of the items and answer any questions. While on Monday, we will have our entire team, which doesn't include our staff, bond counsel, and our financial consultants, who have prepared all the attachments associated with this item. Skylar?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. I am here to present on the proposed debt issuance of $28 million in certificates of participation, or COPs, which is in line with our long-term financial plan and rate study. Our municipal financial advisors, Urban Futures Inc., and our bond counsel, Stradling, will be here Monday to give a more detailed presentation. I did want to give a summary today, though, since there is quite a bit of documents. This is also the first action item we are presenting using the new Civic Plus software. You will see that the report format is a little bit different. We are now keeping the staff report to one page and then adding the analysis and fiscal impact as an attachment if it causes the staff report to be longer than a page. Out of the $28 million in COPs that the staff is proposing to issue, $20 million will be used to fund the new main campus for the district, previously identified as the Critical Service Center. The main campus will be allocated 60% to water, or $12 million, and 40% to sewer, or $8 million, per the financial plan. This will consist of both the new administrative building as well as a new operational building where the current corporate yard is located. The remaining $8 million will be used to fund 2 new water booster stations. This results in a total of $20 million in long-term debt for water and $8 million for sewer, for a total of $28 million. Debt issuance payments are expected to be roughly $1.72 million per year over a 30-year period, maturing in 2056. In the current fiscal year, payments are expected to be roughly $1.5 million for the partial year, consisting of $875,000 in principal and $603,000 in interest. We are requesting a budget adjustment for the $603,000 in interest. The interest rate is expected to be approximately 4.51%, but 5% was used for forecasting purposes to be conservative. The final true interest costs will be determined when the 2026 COPs are priced and sold, which is scheduled to be in early August. The district will be repaying these through net revenues for both water and sewer, which is total revenues less total operations and maintenance costs. Debt issuance costs are expected to be $350,000, with an additional $40,000 for municipal advisement services, in which we are requesting a budget adjustment for as well. These are one-time costs. The required debt coverage ratio is expected to be roughly 1.15, meaning net revenues divided by total debt service must be above 1.15 to meet the loan covenant requirements. To make the issuance more favorable and reduce risk, we are requesting to create rate stabilization funds of $350,000 and $150,000 for water and sewer, respectively. This is cash that is set aside and made available to add to net revenues in the debt coverage calculation in a given fiscal year. Here you will see the operating results for fiscal years 2021 through 2025 from our preliminary official statement. As you can see, our lowest debt service coverage ratio has been 10.97 in fiscal year 2021, which is well above the 1.15 requirement. Our most recent audited fiscal year 2025 was 73.74. Under debt service, the debt listed in prior loans has been paid off in advance. This was a total of $1.1 million in long-term obligations. We only chose to keep one loan from the State Water Resource Control Board, totaling approximately $2.2 million due to the favorable interest rate of 2.2%. This loan will mature in January 2034. Here you will see projected operating results for fiscal years 2026 through 2030, mostly based off our financial plan and rate study with some minor adjustments. You will see the new 2026 certificates of participation added to debt service in fiscal year 2027. The lowest debt service coverage ratio that we are forecasting is 6.86 in fiscal year 2029, which is still well over the 1.15 requirement. We see no issues in meeting these requirements in future years. The Rate Stabilization Fund also reduces the risk of not making the debt coverage requirements while also making the securities more attractive to investors. Next, I would like to give you a summary of the attachments provided in the agenda packet. In Attachment 1, you will see the analysis and fiscal impacts of the debt issuance. This would have been directly on the staff report in the past, but was included as a separate attachment now due to the length. In Attachment 2, you will see Resolution 2026-15 to approve the execution and delivery of an amount not to exceed $28.5 million in certificates of participation while approving the execution and delivery of the related documents. This is simply to approve the debt issuance. In Attachment 3, you will see the trust agreement. This is an agreement between the district, the corporation, and the trustee, U.S. Bank, pursuant to which the installment payments are pledged and the repayment of the 2026 COPS. This agreement sets the terms of the 2026 COPS and the rights and remedies of the COPS owners. U.S. Bank has been the trustee for previous debt that the district has issued. In Attachment 4, you will see the installment purchase agreement. This agreement between the district and the corporation agrees that the district will make installment payments to the corporation and secure issuance of the 2026 COPS. The installment payments are secured by a pledge and liens of revenue for both water and sewer funds. In Attachment 5, you will also see an assignment agreement. This is for the corporation to assign the district's installment payments to the trustee, U.S. Bank, on behalf of the COPS owners. This essentially means that the district will make payments directly to the trustee as opposed to the corporation. In Attachment 6, you will see a certificate purchase agreement. This is an agreement between the district and the underwriter, Wells Fargo, in which the underwriter agrees to purchase the 2026 COPS and sell them to investors on behalf of the district. In Attachment 7, you will see a preliminary official statement. This is the document in which the 2026 COPS will be offered for purchase to the public. This document is required to contain all facts material to the 2026 COPS, the district, and the corporation, such as general information about the district, past operating results, future forecasted results, etc. The final Attachment 8 you will see is the continuing disclosure certificate. This is an agreement to provide annual reports to investors to comply with federal security laws. This concludes my summary of the debt issuance. I am available to answer any questions you have now, and both Urban Futures and Stratting will be here Monday to answer further questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, let's start on this end of the table today. Director Meyerhoffen, any questions?
Yes, since we're going to be going over this Monday, I do have a question for Sir Skyler. It says here, authorizing revenue certificates of participation not to exceed. So I looked this up because some people were referring to it as a bond. And when I looked it up, it seemed to be maybe two different things. So could you explain that a little bit, how that's different from a bond?
Yes, definitely. So it's a type of security that is backed by lease payments as opposed to like a bond. So generally the main type of securities you'll see issued by local government are certificates of participation, general obligation bonds, are which when you have like a general project that's going to benefit the community, such as a park. And then that one does have to be voted on by voters and approved. And then you have revenue bonds in which revenues are repaid that are generated from the projects. Like if you're going to have a lease or a bonds to build an airport, then and you were going to have revenue bonds, then the revenue from the airport would repay the bonds in the future. So it's really how the security is backed really is kind of what makes the certificate of participation a little bit different from the others. So.
Right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Okay. Director Merrill, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Director Sewell.
I guess my big question is just how did we get to the number versus how much we're going to pay up front out of our existing like
So how we determine the 28 million as
Yes.
opposed to the admin building expected to cost 40 million in the beginning. Yes, so per the rate study, we determined that we wanted half of the main campus to be paid for by prior customers and really prior revenues as you call it, and then half to be paid by future customers. So which will be the repayments and the interest in the future.
Okay. And then say down the road interest rates really drop. Is this something that we can go out and get a lower interest rate?
Yep, but we do have the option to refinance whenever we'd like.
Okay. That's all I have.
Fantastic. Director Martin?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Vice President?
Nothing. I'm happy to hear we'll do this in August because I think the Fed is meeting in September and there may be a rate increase. So
I also have no questions. I appreciate you bringing back into the rate study and reminding us all in the public that this was something we have been planning for. As General Manager Macy had mentioned at the beginning of all of this, this has been a long process. Even before myself came to this board, this has been in process. So I'm happy to see that we've come to this position here today. I'm happy to see that the numbers are working out the way that they are. And I don't have any further questions. So thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thank you.
All right, do I have anything else regarding this topic from staff or from our board? Okay, do we have any members of the public who have any questions or comments regarding item number 9?
President Duff, not online.
And I have none present. Madam Secretary, can you notify me if anyone raises their hand and I'll just move forward?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You.
All right, we're going to move on to number 10, award of construction contract for the MSWD main campus to Robert Clapper Construction Services Incorporated. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. Much like the previous item, the roadmap to get to this item has taken many turns. I've been with the district since 2019, and I counted 15 different presentations related specifically to the campus layout, location, or funding, in addition to the monthly board updates we've been given every single month since 2021. Before I turn this over to our engineering manager, I would like to present a quick historical summary what have led us to this recommendation. Now, again, trying to go through this relatively quickly, it's 20 slides, so there's a lot of information on here, but I just wanted to really, we've shared all of these slides with the board at one time or another. So I believe everyone has seen these, but just starting back to the beginning and a short history of the administrative building that we're in today. This was built in 1981. We've been at this location for a number of years. Back in 2006, when we had 48 employees, schematic design was completed at the proposed 2 Bunch Palms location. So we've been looking at building a new building for almost 2 decades. Of course, the financial crisis happened in 2008, so that put a stop to that as we reduced staff to reflect the development that was going on in Desert Hot Springs at the time. Then coming into 2006 and 7, again, it was talked about that we were getting to 28 employees here at the administrative building, much like we are right now. We were running out of space. We had the annex renovation. We looked at other things. We still do not have a shower at this facility, even though we have 28 folks that come here. So at that point, we were looking at, okay, what do we do next? When they looked at this particular building and said to renovate this in the annex, it was going to be $4 to $4.5 million. We then said, well, what would it cost to build a new building right next door to here? At that point, again, looking at an existing building for 28 employees, roughly 11,000 square feet. At that point, we put in $6.5 million in the capital improvement program for a new building. Then, of course, in 2019, roof repairs, water damage, and interior repair that we still are dealing with to some capacity right now. Roughly, this is what we were looking at. Again, it's an 11,500 square foot building next door to this facility. You'll see the cell phone tower in the middle, public parking, secured parking behind, and then the administrative building to the west. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that we were looking at, going back to not only shower facilities for this facility, but also at the corporate yard. We only have one working shower at the corporate yard. And again, we have 27 employees that report to that on and off throughout the day. Also, as anybody that's been down there, especially for the July 4th fireworks, all the pavement needs reconditioning. There's some security issues with block walls, areas in the fence that need to be repaired. And then office space. Right now, at the time we were doing this and we were looking at, the wastewater treatment operator was currently using the lab as an office. We've since fixed that, but the estimated costs at the time were anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, and this again dates back to 2019. At the time, we were looking at other locations. There was a concern at the time we wanted to be on Palm Drive. The one that specifically we started talking about and really focusing on was the 7.5 acres that is adjacent to the park area, where we have an easement that we would be still connected to the corporate yard, but also give us Palm Drive frontage. That time we started combining the projects and saying, boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could do something to serve both our needs. We started looking at a current plan, which was a new building and the corporate yard as a budgeted item. We had almost $7.5 million already budgeted. We looked at a corporate yard option where there would be no property acquisition, and then started looking at what would it cost to acquire property. Again, not going through all these slides, but again, at that time, we still had $7 to $7.5 million budgeted in 2020. Moving forward, as you recall, this is COVID-19. Inflation started creeping in, so we wanted to make sure we had reasonable costs as we continue to present it to the board. So we went from having roughly a $450 per square foot up to a $600 square foot. We started looking at budgets a little bit differently, continued to look at possible locations. At that point, we realized if we were bringing the staff together, we would need a larger building. This at the time working with a different architect, but somebody that was already under contract. Going back to 2021, as the inflation continued, now we're going up to $600 per square foot plus a 30% permitting. So now you're looking at going from what used to be a $7.5 million budgeted up to considerably more if we were going to find a location on MSWD property. One of the things we looked at is putting the 15,000 square foot at the actual corporate yard. If you notice this particular plan, the existing buildings were going to remain, and we were simply going to build a one-story building on the corporate yard in the frontage. The interesting thing about this, it was following the Yucaipa Police Department, and it had dual shared space for public parking on the park. Just so what would you get an idea of what it looked like? This was what it is, the block wall looking from the park area now. This is what it would have looked like had we built something there, following, again, the Yucaipa Police Department. Continuing through the process, there was a concern that there wouldn't be enough a room at the corporate yard. So the focus then turned to the Palm Drive location. As we were going through it, there were two different locations. One had been sold, and then we put in a conditional offer on Palm Drive. Unfortunately, that took a little bit longer than we would like to move, a little bit longer to secure that property. At this time in 2011 or 2021, excuse me, we did issue an RFQ for architect services and also real estate broker services. And then we started talking about CEQA discussion into the presentation. April, we received architectural RFQs, qualifications, and then we started talking about focusing on the Two Bunch Palms Trail site. Part of the requirements of the architect contract was to look at these four locations. So they focused on looking at these and also looking at doing a siting and a spacing plan. How much room do we really need to serve into the future? We were looking at this time, we had about 47 employees. What would it take to go for the future? Looking at the four locations, again, staying on Palm Drive specifically, we looked at these three, and then of course the corporate yard itself. The prices you see here is what the estimated list price were if we wanted to buy property on these locations. As we continue to work forward, focused on the Two Bunch Palms location and possibly a site on Palm Drive. The Palm Drive location continued to be delayed, and it was removed from consideration in July. Then RCA Renewal Clark was directed by the board to focus specifically on the Two Bunch Palms Trail location. And then later that year, we then took a tour of the East Valley Water District. And at that particular time, that building was similar enough that it met our future space planning needs, and RCA was directed to use that as the building, as the basis of design. Again, this is still 5 years ago that we're talking about this. At that particular time, as we were going through design, we started meeting with DHS. We had our first progress set to share with the city in September. We're meeting with them in January. And then in May, it came to light that there was going to be some issues with the Jerusalem Cricket, and we had to find a different location. At that particular time, we started looking at different locations. We looked at this existing location. We looked at the Nancy Wright facility and, of course, the corporate yard. Trying to superimpose these, what would these sites look like? This would be at the regional facility. This would obviously would not fit. We would get we'd get the headquarters here, but we wouldn't be able to update the operations center. Unfortunately, with this particular thing, we'd still be separated, which was one of the key points of us wanting to bring everybody together at one location. And then, of course, the corporate yard. As you can see, the corporate yard did encroach on some of the existing ponds, but it was felt that this would be the best place for our new campus, if you will. With that being said, we then asked Renewal Clark to start focusing on this location, looking at trying to utilize public parking in case we had any large events at the corporate yard, and then staff parking, future development, and then the operations center, breakout spaces, and things similar to what the East Valley District has. This is the plan we have today with the administrative building at a 45-degree angle to Park Lane. We have a public entrance coming in, and then secured entrance for staff coming in the backside of the building with, of course, the operations center, and then our water quality control basin at the south end. The renderings of the building look such as like this, where you'd have the looking to the west of the building, you would have the new boardroom and things of that nature. And then as you were looking to the other side of the building is where the offices would be and things of that nature. The back would then be up against the park. So in reality, we have spent a lot of time and effort getting to this point, and we're very excited to bring this contract to you. With that being said, I would ask that our engineering manager, Eric Weck, provide some more details about this specific item that's in front of you. Eric?
Absolutely. Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Weck. Give us just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
working on the
you are.
presentation.
I thought it was on our end. I apologize.
No,
we had to get out of it so he could get back in it. Yes.
Okay.
We're here and ready.
Okay, wonderful. So good afternoon. Item 10 on this afternoon's agenda pertains to the award of the construction contract for the MSWD main campus facility to Robert Clapper Construction in the amount of $32,922,000. Besides the construction of the main MSWD main campus, there are a few items that are included in the overall project scope that'll be touched on in a few minutes. In terms of the bids received, the district solicited construction bids for the main campus, MSWD main campus, and on May 7th, 2026, two bids were received. The lowest bidder is Robert Clapper Construction, and after analyzing their bid proposal and reviewing their supporting documentation, their bid was found to be responsive. Their bid, including waterline construction on Park Lane and the relocation of the Horton Ponds 7 and 8, totals $32,922,000. The second lowest bid was $35,037,764, and that was from Barnhart Reese Construction. Of note, in the staff report packet, it details the funding breakdown of various aspects of the project, including estimated staff time, supporting consultants, and those consultants will be discussed in agenda items 11 and 12 in today's agenda, as well as other ancillary costs. Specifically, the Water Fund 201, which is the second row of this table, is separate from the construction project budget, and that'll pay for the water line construction within Park Lane. And staff will be asking for a job number to be created to pay for those improvements. Just to be sure that the board knows that Robert Clapper Construction, their bid includes that water construction element. Secondly, the pond relocation work is related to the wastewater treatment facilities, and thus staff is requesting a job number to be created for that item to be funded by Fund 301. The pond relocation and the water line construction along Park Lane will be applied to the respective funds and not charged against the first row, which is the main campus project budget. Staff time costs are also included and are apportioned appropriately among those three rows that you can see. The analysis sheet is within your packet, and those costs will be applied appropriately to those funding sources as well. And staff would recommend awarding the construction contract to Robert Clapper Construction, as well as a 10% contingency, as well as assigning two job numbers, one from 301 and one from 201. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Weck. Anything further from staff?
Just very quickly, as you may recall, the water line improvements in Park Lane Road, that was required for fire flow, not only for our project, but the Riverside County Housing Project that's across the street. It is our intent to put together a reimbursable agreement between us and Riverside County or the city, and making sure that, because they needed it as much as we did, and hopefully split half that cost. So while we're encumbering the monies today, we hope to get that portion of the project paid for by offsite improvements related to the Riverside County project. So just wanted to bring that up as you start going through each individual specific project. Also, one thing that I left out from the historical perspective, when we had that block wall and some of those changes, if you recall, I believe it was in 2022 to 23 during the budget sequence, the question was, we have the block wall, now that we're combining everything, can we get rid of that line item in the budget? So we went from so in reality, when you see this in your board packet for Monday, the budget for that will reflect us moving that block wall, which happened in 2023. I'd forgotten about that, but it showed up when we were doing our Tyler implementation. So that number would be 40,500,000 in some additional funds, but that's the only big change that we will have moving forward between now and Monday. But now we're available for any questions.
Thank you. Director Martin?
Just one. Uh, We've gone over a lot of the cost of, on both items, 9 and 10. Is any of this going to be funded by grant funding at all?
The one part that we're looking to pay for grant funding that we think is available or may be available is the demonstration and conservation gardens. Right now, we're going to be working with the Coachella Valley Urban Water Management Group to see if we can restore some of those funds. At one time, we did have funds available for that, but they expired. But we're hoping to restore them, and we're working with the Coachella Valley Group right now. But just only that section.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President?
No.
All right. Director Meyerhoffen?
I was really hoping that we get more grant money for this. And I kind of was under the impression that we'd have at least half of this paid for with grant money. So I'm kind of disappointed there that we are having to finance so much of this. But we need it, and I guess if this is the only way we can get it done, we have to bite the bullet. But remember, I'm not happy about it.
Thank you. Director Sewell?
Yes, I guess my overall question is just our confidence in Robert Clapper Construction. I know the next item, Z and K, they have a huge packet, shows experience, different projects they've done. I know Renew Clark kind of backed Robert Clapper in the last presentation we heard from him that they have experience building from the ground up. But I guess I'm sure staff has dove deeper into that.
Actually, we're basing, so we've asked our architect, we typically build water mains and sewer lines, right? We don't build buildings. So that's why we hired what we believed would be the expert in Ronald Clark. They did do their due diligence. They did properly vet Robert Clapper, and they did give during the workshop. You're absolutely correct. They did talk that they had worked with them in the past, a little bit smaller project, but still a building like this that they felt very comfortable that they could move forward with this. We do have inspectors. Thank you for mentioning that, Z and K, as well as landmark consultants, to make sure that the welds and everything, the geotech and the compaction is all. We'll have plenty of eyes on them to make sure that they do meet our expectations.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And then because this is so complicated with them all coming at once, right? I just kind of want to reiterate the separation of the discussion. So you were just saying that 40 after the corrections, it would be approximately 40, correct?
40.5 million.
40.5.
roughly.
And then our rate study budget that we had for this was
It was $40 million, much like when Skylar was going through the bond issuance and how we were paying 50% before 50%
right.
from monies we've collected during the rate studies from 16 to 20. And then, of course, the new rate study, which also had the debt issuance. And in that particular document, it was 1.8 million based on what we believe is going to be the rate we receive is going to be less than that at
Right.
1.7. So
I'm just trying to kind of just concisely tally. So if the total project, which includes the 2 booster stations now that it did not originally include when our clear committee and our rate study was being done, right? The booster stations were separate.
So those are still separate, but the financing was always going to include the booster stations. When we were
In the budget, it was included.
in the
Okay,
budget. it
sorry,
was
I
included,
misunderstood.
yes.
Okay, so then just to bring it back around to the point I was going to make. So in number 9, if the board approves that, 20,000 will be paid through the COPS, which will be future customers paying for the 20 million.
Correct.
And then the 20.5 million, which will include the construction management and the additional go live costs, so to speak, all the additional contingencies and everything that we have to pay up front, will be coming from our reserves and current.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I just kind of wanted to run down because it gets a little confusing going between 9, 10, and then pretty soon 11. So I just kind of wanted to make sure it was clear with the public how that 40 million is coming together.
Yes. When we went to the customers and looking at a rate increase with a lot of capital improvements that was done back in 14 and 15, beginning in 16. We did have a lot of capital improvements that were there, Terrace Reservoir, and that's where we basically went from where we were at that time up to a reserve. And why you see our debt coverage ratio is so much higher than you would expect is because we have been spending money. We did bid some of those projects during COVID, but because of the inflation, they went a lot higher than we expected. And then we've been holding on to those projects, not because we didn't want to do them, but because we're trying to get grant funding for them. One specifically, the Terrace Reservoir, we hope to get almost $5 million to cover that $8 million expenditure. So we've been very successful in getting grant funding, as you well know, but we've also held on to some projects, including an emergency generator project and some others, to make sure that we have the grant funding that's been promised us. So from that perspective, that money that we didn't spend for capital improvements from 16 to 20, we've now been holding on to, and now we're going to be spending it to this particular project. Not the 6 million that we had before, but because of cost increase and things like that, we're still going and spending that money for that purpose.
Well, and a lot's changed since a
Correct.
decade plus ago.
Correct.
So thank you to staff for all the work that's gone in. Thank you to our new clerk and everyone else that's been involved in this very lengthy process. And I don't have anything further regarding number 10 myself. Please go right on ahead.
Yeah, if you've already covered this, I apologize. How much of the Nancy Wright facility was paid for by grant funding or through?
So the Nancy Wright facility, the conveyance line that connects the two plants together, as well as the project that we'll be talking about, matter of fact, that next week with a public meeting, the M2 septic to sewer project was all covered by grant funding. The current funding amount for that agreement is $68 million roughly. And we have got a request in with the staff at the state level's favorable recommendation to give us another 12 million so we can complete the sewer project with all the escalators and construction costs in that time frame, since we took out that agreement, including some water main that was also necessary to build the sewer. So in totality, we hope to actually have that number be 80 million, but right now I can safely say that it's 68 million, and we've been going off of that agreement roughly for almost for 3.5 to 4 years.
Yeah, I was going to say initially, both projects we were led to believe, and this is before you became
Correct.
Manager, was going to be funded by grant funding at the state and the federal level, and I don't, things change, and that didn't happen. But I'm glad to see that a significant portion, or if not all, of the Nancy Wright facility was going to be covered by grant funding. That's awesome.
I think it's been a great opportunity that the district has been in, one, to have the cash reserves and spending some of the project, but also having the flexibility to wait, because as you alluded to, much like these costs have increased, so did the Nancy Wright facility.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about 50% grant and 50% at the time was going to be state revolving loan, that was a $32 million project. And we were going to be $8 million for the plant, $8 million for M2. And then the rest of the cost would be borne by a loan through the state revolving fund. Because of COVID and the way the finance, or because we were in line at the right time, we got the entire project, which then escalated in cost to 68 million that time. So when you're talking about how did we get to, let's say, the $8 million, and why did we feel comfortable when we were doing the rate study and long range financial plan? Because that was included in the 2016 financial plan, because we knew we were going to borrow that for the wastewater side to build the Nancy Wright facility, the conveyance line in M2. So from that perspective, we knew that we had already built up the reserves and the cash balances that were necessary to facilitate that type of loan. So we just took that same thought process and put it in the new rate structure, and we were able to finance it. But we were able to show that we could do it in this particular time as well. So you're absolutely right. At one time, we were talking about 50% each way for the Nancy Wright facility. I'm not familiar if it would included this facility or not, but from that perspective, we did have, because of the grant funding we received, we're able to take on additional or a different type of.
Well, it was framed in very general terms and not specific detail. They were talking about grant funding and how that wasn't going to be paid for by our ratepayers, and it was all going to be covered by grant funding. That was something that was sold to the public, and I'm pleased to hear that a significant portion of it was funded by grant funding. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, anything further on this then? Okay, so thank you, Mr. Wag. Thank you, staff. We will look to Madam Secretary, do we have anybody in the
No,
public?
ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am, not online.
Then we'll move forward. Number 11, award of construction inspection agreements to Z&K Consultants and Landmark Consultants for the construction of the MSWD main campus. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I'll ask our engineering manager, Eric Weck, to provide a summary of this item. Eric?
Yes, thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Item 11 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to the award of 2 consulting contracts tied to the district's new MSWD main campus construction. The first contract staff is recommending awarding is a professional services contract with Landmark Consultants in the amount of $250,000 to cover geotechnical testing, compaction, footing and concrete and masonry inspections, as well as fireproofing and field welding inspections. Coupled with that, staff would also recommend awarding a separate professional services agreement with Z&K Consulting for construction inspections, which includes the major buildings and building specialties such as plumbing, electrical, and structural items. And they'll be providing day-to-day inspection services as well as verifying construction billings with the contractor and the architect. The contract amount for inspection services by Z&K Consulting is in the amount of $641,520. The district has prior working experience with both of these consultants and has had positive experience with both of them on previous projects. As I mentioned in the previous agenda item, inspection costs for both consultants will be divided up appropriately among the main campus budget and the 2 requested job numbers from funds 201 and 301. Executing these professional services contracts will provide the necessary oversight and the expertise to inspect and oversee the construction of this important project to ensure the district's needs are met. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Weck. Director Martin? Director Marhoffen?
Yes, Landmark Consultants fee, we'll go with that one. 250,000. Now, you have a geological, and we'll go all the way down the end, and field welding inspections. So they have to have a number of different people with the expertise, correct?
True. Although in my previous experience working for other cities, we did have a geotechnical consultant that was multi-licensed through Caltrans to do compaction testing as well as concrete testing. They can have multiple licenses.
Yeah. So it seems reasonable that 250 for the different fields of expertise you're going to have out there inspecting things. I think that's really what I was getting at, the justification of it. All right.
Yes, sir. And it's a relatively big site. We're going to be removing existing asphalt concrete in the corporate yard area, as well as putting in a new demonstration garden. So there'll be some grading and some compaction testing at multiple locations throughout that project site. Likewise, remember, we're going to be relocating 2 percolation ponds, and we need to make sure the grading and the compaction is appropriately done by the contractor.
Yes. Thank you. And then we go down here to Z&K Consultants, and I'm just saying this so that people understand the justification of this. $641,520. So plumbing and electric really is a specialized type of license. I think it falls under the mechanical codes of the building inspection. And so that also seems to be justified at 641,000. A little high maybe, I would think, but because of the type of people you have there, it seems to be okay. Sometimes you just wonder, why can't the general contractor do all this? But
It's to keep
important
the
to
general
have,
contractor honest.
yeah, it's important to have these other folks come in and make sure it's done correctly. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Director Sewell?
No questions, just a comment that I'm happy to hear we have experience with both of them, and I was impressed with the information in the packet of their different past jobs they've worked on, not just buildings in general, but water and wastewater. So seems like a good fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President? And I just have one comment. I'm also agreeing with Director Sewell. I'm happy to see their previous work with our district and their presentations were very thorough, which I appreciate. And I'm just going to pass this along on all of these. We look for our partners, our contractors, to set an example for what we expect to see in other construction sites. So we're relying very heavily on all of our inspectors and on all of our contractors to do the best for our community. And we are depending on you to provide us a building that will stand for 75 years. So we are hoping that these inspections will make sure that happens. And I have nothing further. Anything else from staff or anything else from you, Mr. Weck?
No, ma'am, other than I think I can speak for everybody that the district is very excited to see this move forward. And yes, these inspectors are going to try to keep the contractor honest, and we'll pass on these concerns that you have to the contractor as well as the inspector, and expect top-notch service.
Thank you very much. It's a moment of education as well, right? All right, moving on to number 12, approve contract amendment number 6 to Rennell Clark Architects for the MSWD main campus project. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I will ask Eric Weck, our engineering manager, to go over this item as well. Eric?
Yes, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Item number 12 pertains to the MSWD main campus and the need for a contract amendment with Rennell Clark Architects. As part of the architectural services that Rennell Clark provides, they will also be retained to provide services which include providing clarifications and interpretations to contract documents, and give that information to the contractor, as well as assisting the district in reviewing schedules, confirming certificates of payment, and validity of contract change orders, if any. Rennell Clark will attend regular construction observation meetings and monitor the construction progress. This contract amendment will be in the amount of $180,200. Rennell Clark is well situated to provide these services for the district as they prepared the project specifications and plans for this project, and they have experience in this area of construction. Finally, the architect will review as-built documents at the end of construction, which will be provided by the contractor, and verify those revisions and update the construction drawings accordingly. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Weck. Director Marhoffen?
No.
Director Martin? Vice President? And that's a no from all of us, other than thank you very much. And we will move forward to number 13, approve contract amendment number 1 to Canyon Springs Enterprises contract for Well 22 project. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I will ask our engineering manager, Eric Weck, to provide information on this item. Eric?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. And good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Agenda item number 13 pertains to staff's recommendation to execute a contract amendment in the amount of $70,323.61 with Canyon Springs Enterprises. The district awarded the Well 22 rehabilitation project to Canyon Springs Enterprises to remove and replace the well discharge piping, upgrade the well pedestal as well as update the site and install new electrical and SCADA equipment, as well as a new chemical building. Work on this site began in January of this year, and to date, the contractor has trenched for the installation of water lines and new electrical conduits. They've prepared the site and placed new concrete for a new chlorine building. Likewise, we recently passed a significant milestone, and that's with Southern California Edison on our inspection of the electrical trench lines, as well as other electrical items. The well was initially constructed in 1970 and is getting a needed facelift with site improvements. Likewise, with the age of the well and the need to extend the well casing, the contractor had to ultimately remove the concrete well pedestal and expose structurally competent well casing to weld the new extension to. Originally, the well pedestal did not have any reinforcing steel, and the new replacement pedestal does, thus meeting current seismic standards. The contract amendment is in the amount of $70,325.61, and it'll pay for unanticipated removal and replacement of the well pedestal and any other future change orders due to unforeseen site conditions. Staff would recommend the approval of the contract amendment in the amount of $70,325, and it was already budgeted for during the new fiscal budget preparation process completed about a month ago. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Weck. Director Marhoffen?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Director Martin?
No.
Vice President? All right, thank you very much. Let's get this online.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 14. And I'm sorry, Madam Secretary, anyone else join us?
No,
Just
ma'am.
checking in. Thank you. Number 14, award contract agreement with Urban Habitat for annual landscape maintenance for district facilities for 2026 through 2027. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I will ask our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, to give us a summary of this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. Today, we have a contract for a 3-year contract request with Urban Habitat. As you may know from past meetings, we came to the end of a 3-year contract. The district still continues to utilize contract services to maintain landscape services for 38 locations. This year, the contract scope of work increased by adding a majority of the regional plant, specific areas at the Horton plant, which only had a small area plus palm trees, as well as the desert crest. So starting earlier than May, but in May 2026, we solicited bids for annual landscape maintenance services through our OpenGov portal. We received 4 bids. After bid qualification, Urban Habitat was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder to provide the landscape maintenance services. The first year in the packet is the attachment 3, which is a cost breakdown. That breaks down the first 3 years of each contract. So we're asking for 10% contingency above that. So their bid for year 1 is $76,936, but with contingency, it's $84,629.60. It continues about 3% increase. That was the nice part about this. The previous contracts allowed us to negotiate. And so what we've been doing is part of our process to, 1, get consistent with all of our RFQ documents, and 3, ask them for multi-year contracts to lock in the price so that we know what's going on ahead of time. The 2 subsequent years are also $79,300, $81,712, both with 10% contingency. The total request today for the action would be $261,742.80. One of the things I would like to point out, when you go to attachment 2, which is a bid summary, you'll see that Urban Habitat is not listed as the lowest bidder. The lowest apparent bidder was universal green. And so during our qualifications of bids, we had questions regarding the unit cost provided in the quarterly and the semi-annual service for services. They are $25. And so after a typical interview process, they assured us that that would be fine. The concern that the district had at that time was it doesn't cover prevailing wage rates. So as we continue to qualify bids, one of the requirements is a valid license by the Department of Pesticide Regulation. The category that they provided is a category K, which is for health and structures. So we afforded them the opportunity to two different times to provide the correct or proof of licensure, and unfortunately they didn't. So what is required for this particular case as far as licensing goes is a category B. So therefore, after working with our legal consultant, they also recommend that we have to disqualify them. So which led us to moving forward with Urban Habitat, again, our current landscape provider. One of the things I would like to point out is if you were looking at attachment 3, the cost breakdown, their bid of $76,936 for the first year actually is the same exact number that they have been providing services for. So they provided this with no increase on year one. So they're maintaining the same price, although we did include a significant amount of a landscape area. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Friend. Director Martin?
Nope.
Director Marhoffen?
Yes, they didn't increase their bid over a course of how many years?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
They're, if I understood you correctly, they're still charging the same as they did 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
No, so the 3-year contract that's come to an end or is coming to an end, it was negotiable, so it wasn't locked in. So each year they had about a 3% increase. So the current year that we're in for the services for less of a scope is exactly what they bid for year one. So they bid the exact amount that they're doing the services for, even though the service requirement have expanded.
That's what I was getting at. They haven't, even though they could, they haven't.
No, they did. They provided a negotiated 3% from year 2 to year 3.
Okay, I guess I'm misunderstanding on the first year what they had, but anyway.
I don't recall the first year of a 3-year contract. I can tell you that the current year, the last year of said contract is exactly $76,936.
And how's that landscaping coming over there at the Nancy Wright treatment plant?
How's the landscaping or how's the services?
They're going to be doing that. When you said regional plant, that's where you were referring to, correct?
Correct. So there's a small area in the front, as we all know, that actually has landscape, irrigated landscape. The areas that we added are the footprint areas within the fencing, the wrought iron fencing, and then of course the a midsection that takes us down to the ponds, and then of course the pond area.
Yes, my question was, how is that coming? Is it still needing to be replaced? Has it been replaced?
It has been replaced
a while ago.
Yeah, it's been replaced.
It's all been replaced. And they're taking care of that now?
They are this will be their first month.
First month. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Director Soul.
Nothing.
Vice President?
You answered my question because I remember in the past we had an issue with a landscaping company, and so we've not had those issues with this organization. So I'm kind of grateful.
This landscape company, we had a meeting in month 2 of their first year. They have put on a new director of operations. Her name's Melissa. She came in 2 weeks after 2 weeks after she came in, I had that meeting. It wasn't a pleasant meeting, and we joke about it today, but their services have actually been fantastic.
Okay. I'm looking at year 3, FY 28-29. I'm assuming we'll probably have some kind of amendment at that point because we will probably be adding the new building.
Yeah. So this is a 3-year contract. We don't necessarily have to issue year 3. We can go out and renegotiate an entirely new contract. It's not going to be any different than any amendment that we've done in the past. We've added sites midterm, and Fortunately, those sites were small, so they fell within contingency. So yeah, so we either can amend it for the following year if we're, well, I'm hopeful that it's going to get built prior to that. But if for any reason it's delayed, then yes, we can amend it. But if we beat the third year, we likely can either amend it or whatever the best process would be at that time is to just go ahead and not award and go out through an RFP.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And I have nothing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 15, award contract with Gentry General Engineering, Inc. for on-call pavement and concrete repairs for water and sewer projects 26 to 27. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I will ask our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, to also give a summary of this item. Danny?
Thank you again, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon once again. As in the previous item, we've got multiple contracts that are on fiscal year basis that have been multi-year. This is another one that, yeah, we had intended to bring these to the board in the months prior to June so that we didn't really jam up the month of June, focus on budget. But we're going to sprinkle them over this meeting and the next meeting. Again, focusing on trying to get the documents all consistent and updating the scope. That's why this is being brought to you today. So we, as in the past, have had B81. I've brought that contract to the board for amendment. And after this invitation for bids to cover the permanent repair and concrete work that we use them from time to time, Gentry General Engineering was the apparent lowest bidder after qualifications. They were also deemed to be responsive and responsible out of the 6 bids that we received. So what we're asking for today is for a multi-year contract. As in previous years, was based off of their fee schedule. We do it for about $250,000 a year. And I don't know if I have anything else that's relevant to add, so that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you very much. Director Martin, any questions? Director Meyerhoffen? Director Sewell? And we are missing our fierce Vice President. I also have no questions. I've been very pleased the last couple of years, especially at the district's efforts to try and speed the repairs and permanent repairs to our streets. And I'm extremely grateful to the work recently done on Mission Lakes for our well project there at the corner, and burying that pipe was absolutely the right decision for the community. And I just want to add my thanks for that.
Well, if the board does approve this contract, it'll be Gentry that's going to do the permanent repair on that. You know, it's been a good effort between the district and the city of Desert Hot Springs. We've worked out an agreement as it states in the staff report that no more than 90 days. Sometimes they're about 95 days, but we do our best to get them done in 60 days. In past, when I've brought those items to the board for change order or amendment to the previous contractor's contract, it's because of a major leak in an intersection that is 10 by 10, 20 by 20. So you just can't leave something like that and pay. So we get them out immediately. And so that's always set us back. So this is a new company. We hope that we have the same relationship as the past.
Let them know that we are hoping that it will be successful.
It should be.
And did you have anything, Vice President? Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And then number 16, I will pass out on Monday and we can discuss it at that time. Moving on to discussion items. Number 17, MSWD main campus update. General Manager Macy.
I think the 3 or 4 items that we've already covered on
Thank goodness.
that takes care of that.
Thank goodness. Number 18, groundwater protection program update. General Manager.
From an update perspective for the groundwater protection program, I would ask if Assistant General Manager Marion Champion has any updates regarding the public meeting we're going to be having next week.
Nothing new to add, except for we have added a page on our website, and we have got a Q&A developed, and we're working on the presentation. We've had a few phone calls, which we've handled in-house, and customer service has been very gracious about sending them back to me. But I think Eric's going to talk a little bit also about the community workshop plan. But so far, the planning is going very well, and we will be more than prepared on Thursday.
Thank you, Assistant General Manager Champion, and good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. When Well, let's see. We've got just some basic information in terms of the GQPP update. We currently have under contract WECA construction, and the bid amount was $19.8 million. Next week, July 23rd at 5:30 p.m., we will be having a community outreach and information meeting where I guess postcards have been sent out to the community in that area to reach out to them and let them know of this date and time. The place will be at the Mission Springs Water District boardroom. And some of the major topics that will be discussed is why is the district doing this project, what the project timing is, and what the community in that area can expect in terms of construction impacts. Rest assured that accommodations for Amazon deliveries and mail and waste pickup are included in this project. And we'll go into that and more, answer some questions from the public there. And staff will be there as well. So that basically covers this groundwater protection program update. And we're excited to see the community out there and at the meeting and address their concerns and answer them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Director Martin, any questions or comments?
No.
Director Meyerhoffen?
Thank you for all the hard work you put in there for this, and I'm glad the district was able to get the grant money. As you know, this is my district, and very, very pleased, and I'm sure all the residents are too. And once again, thank you.
Director Sewell?
I'm happy we're being proactive with the communication, and the notices are going out to the entire M2, even though it's not a set deal that we have.
Correct. We're inviting everyone from M2 to come, and we're going to talk about the phasing of the project and how much we'll be able to get done in this first grouping. And then we'll have some timelines, assuming that we get more funding, where we'll be looking at for the rest of it. And I should add that everything is going to be done in both English and Spanish. The postcards went out in both English and Spanish, and we will have a recording of the meeting that we'll be placing on our website so that if anyone can't make it, they will be able to watch it. And we will translate during the meeting for that specific reason.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Director Martin? Vice President? Okay. I just have one little ask, and I'm sure I don't even need to ask it, but with the school being involved, have we reached out early to the district and to the principal to start those coordinations? Because I'm sure that's going to be one of the biggest concerns of the parents is how is this going to affect our pickup and drop off, right?
Yes, Eric has actually, even before he gave me a schedule, started reaching out to Palm Springs Unified. And so we will be coordinating with them to make sure that stays smooth. And that's one of the reasons why I felt it important to go out to the whole entire M2 and not just do the first grouping, because there could be impacts to others and I want them to understand what's going on. We will do some general social media posts next week on it, just so that all of our customers know what's going on. Even if they don't live in that area, we want them to be aware of the project. And as I'll cover in my update later, we are also including that in this month's newsletter. So it is going to be district-wide as far as communicating the project.
Great work. Thank you very much. And that is all I have. Anything else from the board? Okay. So for consent agenda, we will discuss the approval of minutes and register of demands. Does anyone want to discuss those today, or do we have a presentation on those today? On anything?
No, not unless the board would like to pull an item.
Anyone want to pull anything? Okay. And then we'll have directors' reports on Monday unless anyone wants to go today.
Monday.
Okay. General Manager's report. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. The first oral report will be the finance report. Our accounting manager, Skylar Aubrey, will provide you that.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. All right, perfect. Okay, so we had operating revenues from July 2025 year-to-date May 31st, 2026 of $37.6 million, well above our budgeted amount of $19.9 million, and that is due to $19.4 million in industrial pre-treatment non-compliance fees, which may be negotiated down in the future. We just had our first meeting, so I would definitely expect that number to go down. We had operating expenses of $21.5 million as opposed to a budget of $25.6 million, and the $4.2 million in savings is due to less outside services, legal costs, materials, and electric costs than expected. For non-operating revenues, we had $6.8 million as opposed to a $24.4 million budget. We are well below our budget because we had $14 million in grants budgeted that we are deferring to next year for the M2 project, which you did see in the budget presented, along with investment income being a little less than expected. We had non-operating expenses of $381K as opposed to a budget of $762K, and these savings were due to the payoffs of the debt earlier in the year, mainly the $15 million Wells Fargo line of credit. So we didn't have interest expense for a portion of the year for that debt. And that leads us to a change in net position of $22.5 million as opposed to our budget of $17.9 million, which is a 26% favorable variance than expected. Coming to our debt service ratio, we have 17.79, well above the prior year of 2.45. The reason why it's risen so much was the early payoff of the debt. We paid off over $16 million in debt in advance here in fiscal year 2026, the $15 million for the Wells Fargo line of credit, and the $1.1 million for roughly 5 other debt issuances that we paid in advance in order to make our financing more favorable and get a more favorable interest rate for our upcoming debt issuance. Our investment returns are 4.02% year to date as opposed to 3.41% in the past, leaving us a cash balance of $69.6 million as opposed to $81.4 million in the past, with over $16 million less in long-term debt obligations, though. Thank you very much, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Director Martin?
Good news.
Yes, very good news.
Director Small, Vice President? Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And General Manager?
Yes, now we'll go to the Public Affairs Report. Assistant General Manager, Mary Champion.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon again, President Duff and members of the board. Today, I do have a short presentation that highlights some of the work of the Public Affairs Office in the past month. And as always, additional information is available in your packet. We'll start off a little bit to talk about past events. While June was a little quieter than normal, MSWD was still out in the public. One specific event that I want to draw your attention to was our June 24th live stream blood drive. I'd like to thank everyone that donated and to all of those that tried. It really is very appreciated. In total, we had more than 15 donors registered. We had 14 units collected, and we had one first-time donor that joined us. The blood collected at this drive has the potential to save up to 42 adult lives or as much as 112 babies. Every donor truly makes a difference for patients and families in our community, and we really want to thank everyone that stepped up. And mark your calendars. The next opportunity to give is going to be Wednesday, August 19th. Another event that I wanted to spotlight was the annual Coachella Valley Association of Governments annual meeting, which took place in Indio on Monday, June 29th. Representatives from each of the Valley cities, in addition to Supervisor Perez, were in attendance, and they gave brief updates on the important projects in their areas. CVAG Executive Director Tom Kirk also highlighted a special cleanup effort that recently took place here in our Desert Hot Springs area. And he also provided a video showcasing President Duff and Councilmember Gary Gardner. We have since shared this this video on our social media, and I wanted to take this opportunity to show it to everyone here today.
This is conservation land. This is meant to be wild. This is to protect critters. This is to protect wildlife. Having an illegal encampment, all of the trash, the waste, everything that goes along with that, completely decimates the entire goal of the conservation plan.
It almost leaves you speechless, you know, when you see the before and afters. This is a filter. Everything we stand on in this entire valley is a filter. And our drinking water is 100% from below our feet. So everything that is not properly disposed of affects the quality of our water, which will affect generations if we don't stop it now. I think it's really important that as CVCC moves forward, that we start finding ways for people to use it in
Use the land
conjunction
responsibly and yes.
with the protection of it, so that they learn the precious need to participate in its protection.
That's our next step at CVCC and all of the other agencies, is we conserve the land. Now we got to figure out what to do with it.
So I'm hoping that this will elevate the pride in our community a little bit. I'm hoping that it will definitely bring awareness.
We all have to work together on this to bring it to fruition.
I can't thank CVAG and all of its partners and teams. I can't thank the commission members from all the different cities in the valley enough for agreeing to handle these here first.
And so, as I mentioned, we have shared that on our social media. We got some very positive comments and a lot of likes. So thank you very much, President Duff, for all your hard work on that video. I think it showcased our area very well. Looking forward, we have several.
I could
Sure.
comment. I just found it interesting that, and I'm reflecting back on my years on the police department, that when we caught people illegally dumping on there, not only were they cited, but since their vehicle was used as a tool for the dumping, we seized the vehicle. And they didn't get it back until they went to court, and they had to petition to get the car back. And then on top of that, they had impound fees and all that stuff they had to pay before they could get the vehicle back. And it really made an impact. They weren't seizing the vehicles permanently, but we were seizing them until a court appearance on the citation. So it's a shame we can't pursue something like that, law enforcement, I think it'd have more impact on stopping some of this stuff, because it's you go out there in some of these streets and that I drive every day and see the level of dumping that's taking place alongside the road. And the bad thing about it is they just had to put the stuff next to their curb, and it would be picked up legitimately by the Desert Valley Disposal, and they don't have to dump it in the desert. I don't understand. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Director Martin.
Excuse me, because I appreciate the efforts of getting the desert cleaned up. But when it comes to groundwater, then it's not being taken care of. There are still probably 55-gallon barrels out there that were used for septic tanks, trash buried under the desert. I can show you where the surface has been cleaned up, but yet where they used to go out there and just set each other's houses or little encampments on fire, argue over who owned it. There's still evidence of that burnt stuff on top of the ground. It's what's under the surface. What's on top of the surface, sure, it needs to be cleaned up. It looks a lot better. And I appreciate that effort. But when it comes to water, groundwater, it's still buried under the surface. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do think that this is a very important topic that, again, very happy that we are able to show a video and really shine a light on some of the issues that are involved with the dumping. Looking at some of our upcoming events, we have several important conferences and industry events in the coming month and a half from Aqua, CASA, UWI, and CSDA, as well as our important M2 Septic to Sewer Community Workshop, which we just spoke about. That's being held next Thursday night here in this room. And again, this event will be live streamed, and we will be recording it in case anyone cannot attend in person. Also, as you heard a little bit last month, we released our water quality report on July 1st. Copies are available in both English and Spanish in our lobby, and digital copies are also available online. We have been working to promote the report both in our socials and through our advertorial work. We've received coverage in several different publications, including the Yukon Report, El Informador, and also the CV Independent. In addition to the CCR, we have a few other mini campaigns going on right now that you may have seen on our socials. One is that July is Smart Irrigation Month, so we're really promoting the use of smart irrigation controllers. We also have been doing a lot of work with our Rates at Work campaign. There was some mention earlier about the crossing that was underground, and we did post on that, and we got a lot of positive social engagement on that as well. We also have a special Fall and Like Us campaign on Facebook and Instagram that kicked off on July 1st. Since that campaign began, we have gained approximately 35 new page followers on Facebook and 9 on Instagram. So we'll continue to update you as we add more followers on that. You heard earlier a little bit about our Real Academy students, and we're really proud that we just finished up with those summer interns, and we were really sad this time to say goodbye. We also just finished up two presentations at the rec center here in town, and we found that the students were very engaged, and we taught them a lot about water resources and conservation. I really want to give a special shout out to Dory Petit and April Scott. The kids this time were really engaged this year, and I feel that a lot of this was due to our ongoing presence. I think we're starting to make a real big difference in the way that our local youth think about their groundwater and their water resources, and those efforts are really starting to pay off. They were raising their hands, asking questions, giving up solutions and ideas for things for conservation and things that we have never even subjects we haven't even broached with them, but they are really finding it really engaging. And so definitely the hard work is starting to pay off. And continuing on with our Real Academy news, I wanted to give a special shout out to one of our former students, Mary Alder. She was one of our first Real Academy students, and she did an internship in our engineering department with Eric's team. And when Mary first got here, I asked her what she wanted to do after high school, and she stated that she wanted to go into aerodynamics, and she wanted to someday work at NASA. Well, I'm happy to report that she's well on her way to making that dream come true. For the past year, Mary has been at College of the Desert participating in their NASA program. And this summer, Mary and one other COD student got the chance to travel to NASA's Virginia campus, where they participated in the the prestigious Rock On Challenge at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility, where they designed an experiment and that launched abroad a sounding rocket. From building their experiment to witnessing the launch in person, this incredible experience highlights the opportunities available to students in our valley, and we could not be more proud of Mary and her accomplishments.
Wow.
And we did share that on our social media. If you didn't get a chance, there's some pictures on there and some really nice comments that were posted on there. And last but certainly not least, I always want to let you guys know what we're doing with our Water Matters newsletter. In June, we did the water quality report. We also did some landscaping and summer irrigation tips. We also did our Help to Others program. And this month, we're talking about understanding your bill, and we're talking about the pass-along fees, both from DWA and from the city utility users tax. The M2 septic to sewer project, as I mentioned earlier, we're continuing with our Smart Irrigation Month, and we're also a little bit of a plug for our August blood drive. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Fantastic work. Any comments or questions, Director Marhoffen? Director Martin? Vice President? Director Sewell? Fantastic job. And I want to extend another thank you to Ms. Petit and Ms. Scott and yourself, Ms. Champion, for the hands-on work with our kids. It starts with them, and I'm really glad that you're seeing the fruits of your labor. And I'll look forward to those kids being future Real Academy students, I'm sure. All right, moving on to C, General Manager Macy.
Before we get to C, there is one more thing, and Director of Operations had a question through the week about some theft that was going on, and maybe a quick update about the fire hydrants. As he's making his way up, I will talk about item C. During our workshop, we talked about the CSDA Southern Region election, and we had 2 candidate statements at the time. We still only have 2 candidate statements. I will be asking for direction on how we should vote coming up on July 20th. The 2 candidates, Jason Dafford and Nikki Winslow. Jason's obviously here, the general manager from Valley Sanitary District, and then Nikki is from Aldina Library District. So just letting the board know what we've received and that we'll be asking for a vote on Monday. Danny?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. I just wanted to expand on the written report, the sections I provided in the GM report, specifically the fire hydrant theft. Good news is we have no fire hydrant theft to report on since the last board meeting. Unfortunately, on Friday, June 19th, we had some vandalism and theft at our existing solar site off of 19th and Little Morongo. As you may recall, we had the first time they broke into our contractor's laydown yard, their containers, which is the contractor working on our PPA solar. That was about $50,000 worth of wiring stolen, nothing installed, just equipment and material on site. And the second time that I'm referring to on June 19th, they broke in and stole. So out of the 6 tables of the solar array tables, they cut and stripped 4 of the AC wiring and some DC wiring. They cut and left the 5th. They didn't touch the 6th. We seem to believe that once they realized it was aluminum and not copper, that the value is not there. So there's a lot of speculation, but we do know that morning around 1:56 in the morning, we lost communications. Since then, we've had all kinds of conversations. We've had conversations with the contractor as well as our project management team from Kemper Energy. Is there any way that telemetry, much like our telemetry, our SCADA has the ability to give us alerts, and it's just not configured that way. So that was one of the things we were looking at. We looked at cameras for this project. We spoke about cameras for this project. It's easy to be reactive, but just to let the board know, we've been looking at cameras for our project, not necessarily the PP, the leased area, but we're moving a little quicker now on that to take a look at it. So the reason I bring it up is the combined theft between the first instance and the second time, the fence repair, we're about $80,000 in theft. So working with our IT manager, Kurt, he has looked at, we brought back to life all the cameras that we were looking at, working with Eric to get estimated costs. What I do plan to do in the next board meeting is bring to you a request for an amendment to augment the budget, because we didn't anticipate. Well, let me back up. Actually, what the contractor was doing at the time was doing some troubleshooting. So they have installed about 90% of the equipment. They were troubleshooting the existing equipment, and without AC wiring, that work comes to a stop. So the project came to a halt. Staff worked quickly to issue change order 1 within contingency to get the wire ordered and installed. So they're going to move in Monday, and they should have it in by the end of the week. The idea is that during the time that they were troubleshooting, they had 3 inverters bad and 1 motor. So what I plan to do and will present at the next board meeting is a request to augment the budget to cover the balance of the inverters and the balance of the motors, not knowing how many there are going to be. I just don't have that many opportunities to bring it back to the board. So we'll be doing that at the next meeting, as well as the change order, since it goes past the contingency to do said work. So that's something I just want to give you a heads up on. So other things that we've been looking at is working with Kurt to bring in what do they call them, a portable security camera, the ones that you see like at the Home Depots and different lots that have the flashing light. They communicate. So we're looking to park one of those before we finish out the work. of installing the conductors, and then right behind it, we'll leave it in place until we get permanent cameras. So that's just some updates on the solar project. In the past week, we've had great response from the city as far as the encampments that we've had on the property there northwest of that area. So we issued a 30-day notice, which expires on August 9th, giving them the allowing them to move off of our property. And so we're going to move in containers and start staging our equipment at the regional plant so that we can get ready on August 10th. But we worked out some items with the police department that later in the week, when they are, I guess a shift change is a better way to say it, when they're more staff, they are going to be helping staff go out there. If there's still anybody there, then they'll go ahead and we'll do it with the appropriate way, and then we'll begin the cleanup. So we anticipate the cleanup from the experience when we worked with the Conservation Commission on our airport property, which is, if you were to take West Drive all the way south past the school, hit 15th Avenue, we call it the airport well. There used to be an old airstrip there. So we refer to it as the airport property. But when we work in conjunction with the Conservation Commission, it was spendy then, and this is a little worse in the sense that there's more vehicles. So because of the vehicles, if they still remain, then there's other due process that has to be done in order to deal with that. But that was just over $40,000 to deal with. So we are going to work through that over the course of the next month, as well as deal with repairs to the fence and look at security. And again, I'll talk more about that when I bring this item to the board.
Fantastic.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions, Director Marhoffen? Director Martin?
No.
Director Sewell?
Nothing.
Vice President? Thank you for updating us on that. And I hope that we can get some lights up before the next shipment of wire come in, and some recording devices to keep us a little safer out there. And I sure hope that our residents will call if they see anything going on. This is their ratepayers this is their money that has to pay for these thefts. And that brings me to my other question. Does the contractor, or do we have any insurance policies that cover any of this theft of our?
Yes, we do have insurance that covers theft. One of the things that PVCA is the contractor that currently has been helping us since the beginning. They have been fantastic. They provided us a report that we can actually use to that they've had experience with other clients to submit as a claim to our insurance carrier.
Okay.
So we're working. So staff is working through that as well.
Then time it's on the CVCC, there's been a recent call that Cal Recycle still has money available for exactly this purpose as far as grants. So I would hope that we would reach out ASAP to see if we can qualify for any of that Cal Recycle funds that would help us with the cleanup and removal.
I appreciate that. We'll look into that.
Thank you so much. And that's it for me, unless the board has anything else regarding item C or the recent theft report. Okay, and do we have anything else from staff?
Yeah, that concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more time, Madam Secretary, has anyone from the public raised their hand?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much. With that, I'm just going to give one more chance for any general director's comments, requests for future agenda or future meetings. Director Martin. Director Marhoffen. Vice President. Director Sewell. All right, great. With that, we are going to go into closed session. Counselor, could you please read out our closed session?
According to our closed session agenda, there are up to 4 matters, five potential cases, which may be considered as potential litigation. There is 1 active case, Fournier versus Mission Springs Water District.
Fantastic. So we will take a little break as we go into closed session, and then we will be back. Thank you. We're going to do that. Welcome back from closed session. Thank you for your patience. Counselor, could you please report us up?
There are no reportable items from closed session.
Thank you, sir. And unless I have anything else from staff or the board?
No.
Final call. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you all on Monday for our board meeting at 3 p.m.